All right, good morning. Thank you, Dr. Sundberg and the Swine Health Information Center for inviting the American Feed Industry Association to be here today. Paul didn't mention it, but the pork industry is my background. My family raised pigs just in southern Minnesota, so when I'm done here, I'm actually going to run home and see my family real quick before I fly back out of here. But this is where I got the start in my career as well. So a lot of you here in the room, I know you from my former life, and just want you guys to know that the feed industry, we're here. I'm personally bought into this issue, so you've got me, you got my attention, and we're happy to be here. So a little bit about the American Feed Industry Association for those of you that aren't aware of our association. We are a trade association that's been around since 1909. We represent the entire feed industry, so everything from feed ingredients to the feed manufacturers, pet food manufacturers, equipment manufacturers, and then we also have international companies and consultants that are also part of our membership. We have just under 700 companies that are members, and we, again, represent them on legislative and regulatory issues, also have networking and other education opportunities that we provide as well. So our industry manufactured in 2016 just over 236 million tons of livestock feed across the main 9 species at 5,700 feed mills across the United States. So that's the breadth of what we are covering here. Just like the pork industry, and we heard earlier today, a majority of our business, a growing part of our business, is in the export markets. So keeping that in mind as well as we go forward on all of these issues. We export mostly our ingredient side because countries want our high quality and our high technological based ingredients that we can do well here in the United States. They want those from us. So I'm here to, respond to, provide some feedback of what we've been doing from a feed industry perspective. And one of those things that we've really been trying to do lately is be transparent. So I've been spending most of my time the last couple of weeks working African swine fever and on the phone within our membership and outside of our membership, finding out what the pork industry needs from us, what our members need from us as an association, and how we can best disseminate that information to all the respective parties. So we know that there are many feed ingredients, as has been stated, that are low risk that we import from countries, whether because they're synthetically produced or they don't contain animal proteins, but they do come from countries that have some of these foreign animal diseases. And so what could we do to make sure that those low-risk ingredients can still come in, that you guys have the confidence that they are not contaminated in the first place, and that we have the procedures in place as they're being transported to not be recontaminated until they get into our manufacturing facilities. So those things, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, those are all the things. They're all produced under high temperature type processes in industrial regions of these countries. A lot of them look like some of our refining facilities that we have down on the coast. I mean, that's what we need to think of. If I could take you guys to China to show you, I would. And so we're going to be exploring different ways, whether it's via meetings or webinars, that we can get some of this information to you guys so you can feel comfortable on how these products are manufactured, how they're produced, and taking it, like Paul said, through the chain then, through transport until they get here. So while we know that we have those ingredients that are very likely low risk, we know that there could be some ingredients that are on the higher risk spectrum or have a risk for contamination that could occur either at the manufacturing or through the addition of carriers. And so we're looking at those. We're interested in helping fund as many studies as we can. We take it seriously, and we're looking to help find some of those answers that you as the pork producers need. Through all of this, though, just want to make sure we remain grounded in science and rational thinking. Our country's well known for that and how we've responded to things so that when, if or when we would have something here, we have done that, and we expect the same of our countries that we export our products to as well. So while the research is limited, it's ongoing to help identify some of those mitigation steps and other strategies. We want to help calm the fears that may be out there, and you have seen some of our member companies put out their statements of what they're going to do, whether it's a holding time. I know some companies are looking at heating processes that they could do. And we're doing that all under the hopes of that we are reaching these reductions in half-life and providing some reasonable hope of that mitigation. But we want everybody to remain calm and proactive and not be don't rely on those measures as the be-all, end-all, I guess is what I want to say right now. Until we have more data, we don't want those to be seen as the only thing that should be put in place. We need to make sure that you guys aren't receiving false assurances, that our companies are not basing things and saying that this is all you have to do. These are initial steps that can be taken that we're trying to put in place now, so that we have some of those answers, some of those protections, but we need more data. So one of the challenges that we do have, we've talked about potential mitigation steps, some that can be added right now because they are approved ingredients for other reasons, but those ingredients are not approved for the use and reduction of viruses. And so just like you as veterinarians cannot, advise a client to use an animal drug that is not approved for that use, we as feed manufacturers cannot use an ingredient or a feed additive that is not approved for the intended use or the claim that would want to be made. So we can't go adding some of these mitigants because of state and federal law that we have to apply to until we get those approvals based on the research. So all of these things make it very hard, and one of the reasons you haven't seen our association come out and say, here's the recommendation, here's what our industry needs to be doing, because we've got limited data, we don't have approvals, but that doesn't stop us from being here, from working to find some of these solutions. And so Paul just asked if I could kind of state what we are doing and what we're focusing on. So we have a foundation. We funded some of this research through that foundation, and we're looking to do more. So if we've talked to some folks already about what's ongoing, what are their needs. If there are other research needs, please let me know, and we can help be a funding source for those. We have biosecurity guidelines that we've developed back after 9/11. That's when they first came in. We've updated them after PEDV. We're looking at them again, but we're really looking at those. We've shared them across our membership again. We've shared them wider than, we've shared them with the pork associations so that they can disseminate them. They're free for everybody. We want to make sure that we're also discussing with our member companies to start thinking about those biosecurity practices now. Again, we did it after the high-path avian influenza outbreaks that happened a couple years ago, but just start making sure this is in their daily practice so that if the disease is here, we're not causing any more spread of the disease. So the other thing is we're talking with all of our ingredient suppliers. I know Dr. D talked about that they're testing 10 mitigants, but what other mitigants potentially are there out there? And so we are out there trying to do an assessment with our ingredient suppliers to see if they've started thinking internally about a potential so that we can grow that pot of potential mitigants. We're also working with them to make sure that they are doing, as we've stated, going back up their supply chain to make sure all of these biosecurity measures are in place at the foreign supplier to protect from potential contamination. So the foreign supplier verification program was just mentioned. You know, that's one mechanism, but there are other supplier mechanisms that can be used and can be helpful with this. I mentioned we want to host the meeting or the webinars to keep up this transparency and talking about how these ingredients are supplied and how the supply chain works. So we hope to do that and figure out the best mechanism to get that information out, because transparency is key in keeping up the dialogue. And I think that's one thing that decision tree and questions document that came out from the associations really did. It started the dialogue, and we hope that can continue. We've been encouraging some firms that are further along the path on their mitigant research to work together to help expedite the approval process through our federal government. It takes, right now, on average, 3 to 5 years for an ingredient to get through the FDA review process. That's not the company's research time and putting together the package. That's the FDA research review time. So we've encouraged and talked with the Center for Veterinary Medicine, the part of the Food and Drug Administration that reviews our feed ingredients, to help expedite these submission packages when they come. Now, I know you all would like an expedited of, a week turnaround. That's not going to happen. Considering it takes 3 to 5 years normally, it will be on some shorter time frame, but it's not going to be immediate. But they have committed that they would do that given the circumstances and resources that are available, but that's another part of my job. I'm always working on ingredient approvals. So the other thing that was talked about was those high-risk ingredients from those countries that contain or that have the foreign animal diseases. So that's something it may be prudent to look at how we exclude those or find other sources. That is something completely open for discussion. Are there other sources that exist? Are those ingredients being imported and going strictly to human food uses here in the United States? There may be some of those ingredients that are, some that likely aren't. But one of the challenges we have with the tariff code system is it doesn't break it out for animal food and human food. So we've been trying to have those discussions and figure out where these products likely are going. If they're going to animal feed, what species are they going to? And are they going to mixed species mills, or are they going to dedicated mills that are not having any potential to get these products into our swine feed? If it's not possible to source these ingredients from other countries, then what do we do? I think that's another question. And like we said, what are the options then of either mitigants or holding times that we could do in order to act accordingly? So that's what I've got. I think we'll get the rest of it all through discussion, but just know that the industry, the animal food industry is here. We're committed and looking to be a partner in all of this. So thank you.